Welcome. Welcome to Thoughts Roundup. It is so nice to be with you today, and I am excited about our guest. This is Brother Tipton from Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
So good to see you.
It's good to be with you.
It
Elder
always is good to be with you.
Boy. I love you.
We always have a good time, don't we?
Always.
And also most time have good church.
Most of the time.
You have a great church.
Thank you. I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, you have a good church, and they are so friendly and so kind, and they worship so good. And then whenever it gets time to preach, they back you up. And they're, in case you don't know it, realize they're very complimentary. They let you know if they enjoy it.
Oh, yes.
Stuff and all. So we've had a lot of church today, hadn't we?
We have had a lot.
Well, moving right along. No, we did. We had good church though all
Yes,
day
sir.
and everything. How long have you been in Vicksburg?
As pastor for 8 years.
8 years.
And then I worked closely with my father for the 6 years leading up to that. And it's been a wonderful ride every step of the way.
I was talking to one of the families today, and I'm telling you, they just love you folks to death. They just totally believe in you as their pastor and your wife, everyone loves these children too.
That's the best part of me right there.
Yeah, well, they're just nice as they can be. Of course, when I talked to them on the last interview, they're not just children anymore. They're growing on up.
It's scary. They're growing up.
Yeah. Well, did you ever envision yourself as pastor of Vicksburg?
I ran for a long time. I had other opportunities and other directions that I was working, but after a while, it just became apparent it was time to stop running. And,
Your father and mother were pastors ahead of you,
yes, sir.
and they're such nice people. They're such wonderful people. They've preached all over the country.
Yes, sir.
They're in Kingsport, Tennessee now?
Yes, sir. There's a church that they've been pastoring now for about 2 years.
They didn't really intend to take that. to have it.
No, that just kind of unfolded. There was a death, and my father went to preach that funeral, and one thing led to another, and they didn't let him go, and he's been there for a couple of years now.
Well, now, your father, he plays bluegrass, don't he?
He's a banjo picker.
Banjo? I figured I thought it was a mandolin. I don't know, but it's banjo.
He knows his way around all of them, but he's a banjo virtuoso.
Well, how are you coming along? I know you kind of started strumming yourself.
I'm pretty good on the kazoo.
What is that? Is that like a tater bug?
And maybe one of them Jews harps.
You juice harps?
Yeah.
And would you, if you was playing, would it be a French harp or would it be a harmonica?
It would be definitely a harmonica.
Harmonica.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, you know, the people we're talking to, a lot of them won't know the difference, that the French harp and a harmonica is all the same. It's just
how you play it.
Well, I say age what you're talking about from.
Well, I'd be a harmonica player. Yeah.
Well, then you would play a violin instead of a fiddle.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I
you
guess.
know,
I'll take your word
if
for
I
it.
was talking about it, I'd say he plays a fiddle, but you'd probably say a violin.
Well, I don't know. I'm more of a fiddler, probably.
I tell you what, music escaped my family. We could be tried for playing music and found not guilty. Yeah. Okay, now let's just talk about things here just a little bit. Before you got in the ministry, how long after you were saved you felt the call to the ministry?
I got the Holy Ghost as an 11-year-old, and it was probably around the age of 15 or 16 that I remember a conversation with my mother and father, where I just broke down and cried, just saying I was afraid that if I completely surrendered to God, that there was going to be a definite call. And so I think I knew at around that age, but it was probably into my mid-20s before I understood that ministry was going to be in my future in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And then it was in my late 20s that I really started hitting my stride and getting traction in ministry.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You have a reputation. You have a reputation of being one of the most honest, one of the most caring preachers, and I'm not saying it just because we're sitting here together. That is the truth.
Thank you, brother.
And your people all love you, and you can just tell that they love you and your entire family, and that's the way it ought to be.
Well, we love them.
Yeah,
we love them. We pastor the best church in the world, we feel like, and it's an honor to serve and to be a part of what's going on here in Vicksburg.
You know, our ministers, they always are complimentary towards their people, but I notice you never even hint to hear you talk. Everybody's perfect. Everybody's wonderful. It's just such a honor to be pastor, and they feel the same way that they're honored to have you as pastor and your family. So that's just that's good.
It's the way it ought to be.
That's the way it ought to be.
It's the way it's meant to be, and hopefully we can keep doing it right.
Doing it right.
8 years and still on our honeymoon.
8 years and still on your honeymoon.
We love our church.
Well,
and we know they love us. They took excellent care of us all the time. It's Pastor Appreciation Month, and they've already gotten started loving on us and doing for us. And this month of October, Pastor Appreciation Month.
Well, if they do something for you, you can give me half of it.
Well, yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, is there anything you think we ought to talk about that we hadn't talked about?
Just that I thank you for being willing to continue pouring out of yourself. After all of these years, 65 years preaching, somewhere in that range, you still got fire in your belly and got some drive in you. It's an amazing thing to watch. And the way you minister and pour out, I just want to say thank you, not only on behalf of our own assembly, but on behalf of all of the churches that you've been a blessing to over these last years and now these last months since your wife's departure to her reward. I say thank you, and we love you.
I appreciate that an awful lot. And Joan loved y'all so deeply. She felt like y'all were family, and she felt like these kids were just a part of us and everything. And she was always so glad to get here and see all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I remember visiting her in the nursing home.
Oh, yes.
And it was cold in there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
We fixed it, though.
Yeah, you fixed it. I had worried with that, tried to get them to turn that down, and they said, there's no way, it has to be done from another city or something. And
We got
and
it.
so I told you about it. You said, "Well, that's no problem." He got a chair and a whole bunch of Kleenex and stuffed it in the vent. Stood up, and stuffed it in the vent.
Yes, sir.
Very innovative. Have you offered that idea as a patent or anything?
I have not encountered the need for innovation at that level
But
before that point.
I imagine knowing you've been innovative in a lot of.
We do what we got to do.
Got to do what we got to do. Yeah,
Necessity is the mother of invention.
yeah. Well, I drove by that place where my wife was that y'all visited. At what was it? A rehab, and it was crazy. As I drove by, I thought, is Brother Tipton's napkins reckon still in there? And I imagine it was. But it was a very needed because I was freezing to death.
Well, it warmed up.
It warmed right up. It warmed right up. Well, thank you so much. And one day we'll do this again and may prepare for it or something.
Okay.
All right. God bless you.